The Mod Collection's new guitars are getting spooky. Welcome back, Troglodytes, to your daily dose of guitar information, the Trogly's Guitar Show. It's time for that weekly Mod Collection demo shop update. And we're gonna start with a real humdinger here. Look at this Les Paul Classic. It has a very gothic feel to it with its black burst finish, underlying fabric design of flowers, which kind of takes you back to old wallpaper designs. So think spooky abandoned house. This is a really fascinating one to me, especially because it's a true teardrop shape burst. At the same time, it still has perimeter burst-like vibes. I wonder if this entire black edge is semi-transparent, depending on your lighting situation. And then your frosted nickel pickup covers works incredibly well with that. We have our addition of a custom style pickguard. But our fun does not end there, my friends. They also bursted the back. It's a true teardrop shape, and they painted over our backplate. That's something they've been doing more and more often, whereas they left everything else black. But this is really what makes this one unique. They went full on 70s mode, bursting the middle of the neck and the middle of our headstock. But hey, wait a minute, hold the phone. Maybe it's just hiding at this particular photo angle and it's still there. Or maybe it's a boo-boo. This one sold for $3,000. So a normal Les Paul Classic right now is being blown out at Guitar Center for $1,700 as they slowly make their way to discontinue what we know as the Classic yet today. So with that knowledge, it was about twice as expensive, but trust me, that was 100% worth it. If you missed out on this, but you want something kinda similar, in the late 90s, there was a Les Paul standard run by Georges St. Pierre. Granted, I don't think there's any black bursts. Like in my personal collection, I have a gold Paisley one, but there's also a few other colors. Then you can also talk about the original late 60s Telecasters and the Stratocasters that followed. The Paisley models are cool, and the lace pattern is a great way to revive that on a different brand, especially for Spooky Guitars Month. Our next one was called Chartreuse Glitz. It's kind of swamp monstery. You've got a very light black border, but everything else is just in your face, kind of green sparkle with gaudy gold everywhere. In fact, I think that might actually be a metal pickguard. And don't forget the metal pickup rings over top of your existing black ones. And golden knurled knobs. The headstock isn't matching, but we do appear to have a metal truss rod cover. And oof, that's the reason why it ended up in the mod collection. It got all scratched up. But here's the back shot. Full burst on the body this time, also painted over the backplate, on the neck, and the headstock. I think my favorite effect here is when this dark brown finish covers over it. It creates a darker golden border before it transitions. That's a pretty fun offering at $5,700, but wow, 11 pounds. But if that one was a bit too in your face, this one has been subdued. They called it Gold Moonlight Mist. It's kind of like a golden bronze mixed with a little bit of greening that you can see here, so maybe it has a color shift effect to it. Nice even fretboard, nothing changed up top, and they left you with a natural back. All that for only a slight premium. Man, everything's about copper this week, so a copper metallic satin. So this one dulls it down even further by dulling our finish. This gives you some nice rockabilly vibes here. I mean, look at that dual dog ear P90s with the Bigsby slanted small block inlays. It's the gold hardware that's really popping this. This is one of those Epiphone USA casinos, but it looks like we've got a little bit of chip out around our tuners, which is a little bit unfortunate, but that's what the Mod Collection demo shop is. It's the factory seconds that get reworked to have new life breathed into them. But they do it in such a fun way, they end up becoming worth more. Sometimes. Other times not. Interesting two-tone colors on the back. That one's being offered at $33. But our next one's a cool one with a terrible name. So it's a great dark satin Les Paul Studio. Been upgraded with Gibson USA's ABR1 style. You've got your historic reissue style knobs. Zoom into your poker chip, it almost looks like you have purple lettering. Darn, I was hoping for purple decals up here. That would have been a nice touch. And no stinger, but it is a full-on purple refinish. And now it's time to reveal the name. Faded Raisin. I don't know, when I think about raisins, I don't think, ooh, cool. I think that's kind of lame. I'd be curious to see what this one's named on the box, because they always have two different names, the marketing team versus the creator. But here's your next selling point, one of the government green cases. Those things have considerable value themselves, so you're really not paying much of a premium on this one. Very Joker vibes. But I'm a fan of this one, a Gibson USA SG61 standard. They call it Marbled Berry. I would have called it Blueberry Sponge Bath. That's what it looks like, the art style. It's like it took a sponge and just dabbed it all over it. It's got a cool midnight blue vibe to it. The chrome hardware works incredibly well, especially accented with the black plastics. And otherwise it's pretty basic, including the backside that's just a satin black. Seeing how the faded 61 standard is pretty much a confirmed flop at this point, this was a great way to breathe new life into that. This next one had Instagram up in arms. Raspberry Bliss Metallic. It's a Les Paul special. You've got black plastics now, sans pickguard, bright pink finish. Looks like maybe the poker chip has matching font. Bridge pickup is a sidewinder, whereas the neck is a normal P90. So what that means is this is really kind of constructed like a humbucker. It has two coils that are side by side, which will get rid of your hum, but if you want to take it back to the whole single coil, that's why they have that. Coil splitting. If this had an ebony fretboard, I think it would match a lot better and then be worth something talking about. But hey, at least it's a complete refin and was offered at $2,200. Check out this evil dude, 335 Roasted Ruby Sparkle. I like their lighting because I have a feeling this thing might be overpowering in person, but a really nice dark red sparkle is kind of appealing. Nice, we got T-type pickups in it. However, where did our binding go? Did they paint over our binding or can we just not see it? Yeah, to me that looks like they just straight up painted over it and not like Widow's series painted over so you can still see it. I think it's just gone. They did the same thing to the headstock and then slapped a purple Old World Gibson logo on it. Honestly, that was not a bad price for what it is if you don't mind the binding being covered over and the kind of weird headstock. For our next two, let's turn the volume down. This is just a regular Les Paul Jr. in natural mahogany. It's $1,900. It almost looks like this might have started life as a more cherry color, build it back to natural. I really like this, especially your slightly tinted clear guard. I think they need to bring this into production. They would sell some more juniors. It's subtle, not in your face, but not just your usual natural finish that you find on a lot of things. Although that is a color we don't see often anymore, a proper gloss natural standard, like you'd find in the 90s. But hey, there was one more special thing on here. They have another one of those fancy Gibson logos. I can see why that one's sold. And then we got 335 Satin Cool Cyan. Kind of seems to be the odd duck this week. Nice, bright in your face, happy sunshine beach vibes. Okay, it's being a little aggressive with the uncovered pickups. It's a satin finish though, and they left the neck alone and gave you a blue back. I wonder if the edges are also matching the neck. Kinda looks like the case, although I'm not 100% sure. But now, how's the European mod collection doing? Well, they had a copper rose Les Paul custom. It looks kind of cool with your blacked out hardware and red tortoiseshell pickguard, and the back has the same finish. That was a new listing. Now we've got the Custom Shop 60th Anniversary in Satin Royal Metallic. I vaguely remember seeing this one before because I remember commenting that they put the Gibson on the pickup covers kind of like they did in 1972-ish, and they aged everything else. Next, a Custom Shop 64 reissue Midnight Pelham Satin. With the dark fretboard, that looks way better than the USA's Blue 335 this week. Matching back of the headstock as well, however, junior style tuners. And then holy cow, €6,000 for Satin Walnut Flying V? Kinda looks like the 67 Custom Shop reissue style, but that still seems a little expensive. You got some decent figuring within your mahogany body though. Then lastly, Smooth Brown Thunderbird Bass. It's smooth, and it's brown, and most importantly, it's a Thunderbird bass. So what's going on with our demo shops? We'll start off USA style. There was a lot of regular models this week. What stood out to me was a black hummingbird. You don't see those too often. Not as often as a black dove due to the Elvis affiliation. One of these poor Lzzy Hale Explorerbirds. I feel bad because the first two Lzzy Hale models were just knockouts, but nobody seems to like these things. They're always on killer discounts. And normally after I review a guitar, I have no problems finding another home, but I still have my review piece, nearly 2 years later? I'm not necessarily sad about that because I collect Explorers. But I feel like this is one of those models, just like all the custom shop Dave Mustaines and whatnot, that once they're out of production, I could see values going up in like 10, 20 years because the current fan base isn't loving it. This thing does have a lot of unique specs, so feel free to check out that review and demo. But I hope they still continue to work with Lzzy because we absolutely need her baritone Explorer that's gold to come out. This week was the first time that we saw the exotic flame top custom color series. Now we can argue, I think it was a week or two ago we saw one of the figured oxbloods, but it's hard to see it. But this is one of those great cherry ones. I really like this finish in person. You don't see the true aniline dyed cherry on a Les Paul standard too often, and you have a see-through back. It's one of the two colors that actually has a colored back, and that's a really good discount. I can't beat that on mine, but if you're in the market, I really love the top on this 50s one. And in case you're curious, yeah, I've almost sold through all those guitars. At the time of recording, surprisingly, both of the Ocean Blues stuck around, so maybe other people didn't like that finish as much as I did. And then the Ebony tops, which I feel people just need to see those in person to appreciate them with the cool natural backs. And then both the Cardinal Reds. But back to the USA demo shop, there was a really nice AAA 50s top here. $2,400, that's a good deal. It's a nice top. Go ahead and pick that up if you want it. And then this one sold. It was $2,400 for the 60s figure top in the blue finish. However, this one had a lot of mineral streaks in it, so that's either pro or con depending on who you are. I like the ones that line up with the strings right here to make them look rusty. Yeah, you know what? I kind of do like that top. Ooh, nice colored back. Some of them are dark, some of them are light, depends on the wood. Hop on a boat across the ocean, the European demo shop. They had some new offerings. What stood out to me was a fantastic deal on an olive drab SG standard. They started off as CME exclusives, then Andertons adopted them. When these first came out, I was really tempted to call up CME and be like, hey, you want to sell me one of every single one? Make me a nice package deal, like $1,500 a piece? Because when these launched, if I remember correctly, they were like $1,700-ish. But nowadays, sometimes you can find listings selling for like $2,000 to $2,500 just because it takes a long time for Gibson to make these. I think they're still in production. I could be wrong on that. But that's one of those buys I regret not doing because I just love all these unique colors that they were able to offer. Now, this one's got a little bit of funniness with the nut. But as I just said, it's like $600 cheaper than what you normally see them go for. I mean, especially that market, that's at least $600 off. Then they had one of those Carina Explorers, except for it's like vastly expensive. Like in the USA, these are $10,000 brand new, and they don't sell none too fast. But you have to keep in mind it includes value-added tax for them, so still not the best deal we've ever seen, but it's there if you want it. I think you'd be better off importing a different one, so you don't have the big demo stamp. And lastly, our UK demo shop. They also had one of the exclusive CME colors, but this time shell pink. But you can also see what I'm talking about. $2,000 versus the $13,000 of the other one. But it's got the T-type pickups, unique color scheme. These are great SGs, whether you like the tortoiseshell pickguard or not. Then they also had a very unique 59-355 reissue. Kind of reminds me of the Alex Lifeson version. Gold hardware, white finish, Bigsby. The 3-ply binding really attacks your attention, just having that single layer of black in between the two creams. In many ways, I feel it's way more effective than the multi-layered one, but I guess it just kind of depends what look you're going for. If you want it to be more subtle, you do want the multiple layers. But my friends, that's going to wrap it up for this week. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll catch you tomorrow on the next one. Take care. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, consider subscribing. I post videos like this every day. And you might even enjoy this next one.